Hey everyone, what's up? Today we're going to check out the world's most dangerous volcanoes. They are majestic mountains that spit fire and change the land around them. But what makes a volcano dangerous? It's not just how big it is, but a mix of how active it is, where it's located, and what its past eruptions were like. Some eruptions are explosive, sending out ash and gases. We're going to travel from Italy to the United States, looking at the stories and dangers behind these giant geological features. Get ready for an explosive trip to some of the most threatening places on Earth. Our first stop takes us to the sunny coast of Italy, near the lively city of Naples. Here stands Mount Vesuvius. To a tourist, it might just look like another perfect cone against the blue sky. But for historians and the Italians living on its slopes, Vesuvius is a constant reminder of an ancient tragedy. It's a geological time bomb that has already shown its power. Vesuvius's most famous story happened in the year 79 AD, when Roman cities like Pompeii and Herculaneum thrived at its feet. The eruption began with a huge explosion, sending a column of smoke and ash into the sky. Waves of hot ash and gas swept over Herculaneum and Pompeii. Death was instant for thousands of people. Today Vesuvius is sleeping, but far from dead. The area around the volcano is one of the most crowded volcanic regions in the world. Vesuvius continues to be a looming shadow over modern life. We leave Italy behind and cross the Atlantic towards Washington State, where we find Mount St. Helens. Before 1980, it was known for its perfect shape and its snow-covered top. But in the spring of that year, the mountain started showing clear signs that something very big was about to happen. The most alarming sign was a huge bulge growing on the mountain's north side. On the morning of May 18, 1980, an earthquake hit the mountain, and that was the trigger. The explosion went sideways, right through the north face that had just collapsed, wiping out everything within a radius of over 30 kilometers. Almost 600 square kilometers of forest were knocked down and burned in minutes. The sideways blast reduced the mountain's height, leaving a horseshoe-shaped crater. The eruption of Mount St. Helens was a big turning point, teaching scientists that volcanoes can be unpredictable. Let's head to Indonesia, between the islands of Java and Sumatra, where we find Krakatoa. In 1883, Krakatoa became the center of world attention in a terrifying way. The eruption reshaped the map, and the sound traveled around the globe. On the morning of August 27th, 4 enormous explosions happened. The power released was thought to be about 200 megatons of TNT. The explosion was heard over 4,800 kilometers away. The explosion destroyed almost 2/3 of the island, throwing rocks and ash into the air. Huge waves swept over the coasts, wiping out villages. More than 36,000 people died. The average temperature around the world dropped. Today, a new island called Anak Krakatau has appeared, a reminder of the huge power beneath the waters of Indonesia. We leave the fury of Indonesia behind and head to Japan, where we find one of the country's most iconic and revered symbols, Mount Fuji. With its perfectly symmetrical cone and snow-capped peak, Fuji-san is more than just a mountain. It's a sacred place, a source of artistic inspiration for centuries, and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. For many, it represents serene beauty and the harmony of nature. However, beneath this peaceful facade, Mount Fuji is an active volcano that has been dormant for over 300 years. And its closeness to one of the world's largest cities, Tokyo, firmly places it on the list of the most dangerous volcanoes. The last time Mount Fuji erupted was in 1707, during the Hoei eruption. This eruption didn't produce lava flows, but it spewed out a huge amount of volcanic ash and pumice that covered the city of Edo, Old Tokyo, about 100 kilometers away. Accounts from that time describe a darkened sky and a rain of ash that lasted for weeks, damaging buildings, polluting rivers, and destroying crops over a large area. Since then, the giant has been quiet, but volcanologists know this is a temporary sleep. Fuji is located at a meeting point of 3 tectonic plates, an area of intense geological activity. The big fear today is what would happen if an eruption like the one in 1707, or even bigger, happened. The Tokyo-Yokohama metropolitan area is home to almost 40 million people, the largest urban area on the planet. A modern eruption could completely paralyze this vital region. Ashfall, even in small amounts, could cause power grids to collapse, contaminate water supplies, stop all air, road, and rail transportation, and cause widespread breathing problems for the population. Japan's economy, and by extension the global economy, would suffer a devastating blow. The Japanese government takes this threat very seriously. There are detailed evacuation plans and constant monitoring of the volcano's seismic activity and gas emissions. In 2011, the Great Tohoku earthquake increased the pressure in the magma chamber under Fuji, raising fears of an imminent eruption. Although the volcano has remained quiet, the incident served as a severe warning. Mount Fuji is a paradox, a symbol of peace and beauty that holds the potential for an unprecedented urban disaster. The question isn't if it will erupt again, but when and how prepared we will be. Now let's go to a place with a name that most news anchors in 2010 learned to fear, Eyjafjallajökull. Located in Iceland, an island famous for its volcanic activity, this volcano isn't particularly big or historically explosive like a Krakatoa. However, its eruption in 2010 showed us in a spectacular way how a volcanic event, even if relatively small, can have a crippling global impact on our modern connected society. Eyjafjallajökull didn't spit out rivers of lava that threatened cities, but it released something that proved just as disruptive for the 21st century, a very fine ash cloud. The problem started when the eruption happened under an ice cap. The hot magma mixing with the melting ice created an ash plume made of extremely fine and abrasive glass, rock, and silicate particles. This wasn't just any ash. It was a very dangerous material for aircraft jet engines. These particles can melt inside the hot turbines, solidify again in the cooler parts, and cause a catastrophic engine failure in mid-flight. Faced with this unacceptable risk, European aviation authorities had no other choice but to take a drastic and unprecedented step in history. The result was the largest airspace shutdown since World War II. For almost a week, the skies of Europe were strangely silent. More than 100,000 flights were canceled, affecting about 10 million passengers and leaving people stuck in airports all over the world. The crisis showed how extremely vulnerable our global transportation system is. Supply chains were broken, causing economic losses estimated at billions of dollars. Perishable goods rotted, essential parts didn't reach factories, and international trade took a huge hit, all because of an Icelandic volcano with a hard-to-pronounce name. The Eyjafjallajökull event served as a powerful warning. It taught us that, in our globalized world, the danger of a volcano isn't just about how close it is to cities. Its ability to affect important systems, like aviation, can cause a ripple effect that spreads across the whole planet. The eruption forced the aviation industry and governments to rethink their safety rules, investing in better ash detection technology, and creating more advanced models to predict where volcanic clouds will go. The Icelandic giant showed us that, in the modern world, even a small eruption can have a global reach. Let's go to Mexico to learn about the Popocatepetl volcano. Its name means smoking mountain, and it's located just 70 kilometers from Mexico City. It's almost always active, spitting out ash and gases. Since the 1500s, there have been more than 15 big eruptions. Ash clouds sometimes make Mexico City's airport close down. It's like a ticking time bomb in the backyard of over 25 million people. Mexico City and other towns nearby are in the path of its fiery flows and mudslides. Mudslides are like volcanic mud avalanches that rush down the volcano's sides, destroying everything. Popocatepetl is one of the most watched volcanoes on Earth. It's a reminder of how delicate the balance is between people and nature's power. We leave Mexico and cross the Pacific Ocean again to Indonesia, a country right in the middle of the Ring of Fire and home to more active volcanoes than any other nation. And among them, one stands out for its fierceness and relentless activity, Mount Merapi. Its name, in Javanese, literally means fire mountain, and there could be no more accurate description. Located on the island of Java, near the densely populated city of Yogyakarta, Merapi is one of the most active and dangerous volcanoes in the world, known for its frequent and deadly eruptions that have shaped both the landscape and local culture over the centuries. Merapi is a classic stratovolcano, with a steep cone formed by layers of hardened lava and ash. Its most dangerous feature is pyroclastic flows, which are superheated clouds of gas, ash, and rocks that rush down its slopes at speeds of hundreds of kilometers per hour, incinerating everything in their path. These fiery clouds, or wedus gembel as they are called locally, are a constant threat. Merapi's eruptions happen in cycles, with small explosions every 2 or 3 years and larger eruptions about every decade. Its activity is so consistent that it serves as a natural laboratory for volcanologists worldwide. Despite the obvious danger, Merapi's slopes are extremely fertile due to the mineral-rich volcanic soil, which attracts agriculture and, as a result, thousands of people who live in villages dangerously close to the summit. This closeness has already resulted in countless tragedies. The 2010 eruption was one of the most recent and devastating, killing over 350 people and forcing the evacuation of almost 400,000. The eruption was so powerful that it changed the shape of the volcano's summit and produced pyroclastic flows that traveled for over 15 kilometers, far beyond the previously established danger zones. The Javanese people's relationship with Merapi is complex, a mix of fear, respect, and worship. For many, the volcano is a sacred place, inhabited by ancestral spirits. There's even a guardian of Merapi, a spiritual figure tasked with performing rituals to appease the volcano. This deep belief, while fascinating, sometimes clashes with scientific warnings and evacuation plans, with some residents reluctant to leave their homes. Mount Merapi perfectly exemplifies the dilemma faced by millions of people around the world: the need to live on fertile lands that are, at the same time, the most dangerous on the planet. So far, we've talked about volcanoes that are iconic mountains. Our next volcano is so huge you can only see it from space: the Yellowstone caldera. This is a supervolcano, able to release over 1,000 cubic kilometers of material. The caldera is the scar from a huge eruption that happened about 630,000 years ago. Underneath the surface, there's a giant chamber of magma that powers all the park's amazing hot springs and geysers. What's the real risk? An eruption of that size would cover most of the United States with a layer of volcanic ash. Luckily, the chance of a super eruption at Yellowstone happening in our lifetime is super low. The Yellowstone Volcano Observatory keeps a close eye on the area, and any sign of an eruption coming would be spotted way ahead of time. Just the fact that Yellowstone exists reminds us that there are huge forces at work in the Earth, on scales of time and power that are way beyond what we can understand. Hey everyone, what's up? Now we travel to the island of Sicily, home to one of the world's most active and iconic volcanoes, Mount Etna. It's been in an almost constant state of eruption for thousands of years. Greek mythology already mentioned it, believing it was the forge of Hephaestus, the god of fire. The image of Etna spewing rivers of orange lava against the night sky is stunning. It's a constant presence in the lives of Sicilians. In 2021, it had dozens of eruptions. The ash plume can close airports and cover cities. The locals are already used to it. Even though it's a natural spectacle, Etna is dangerous and has caused a lot of destruction. Despite all the danger, Etna also brings life to Sicily. The volcanic soil around the mountain is incredibly fertile. That's why thousands of people continue to live on its slopes. Etna is monitored 24 hours a day. Let's go to the Philippines to see the Taal volcano. There's an island with a lake, and inside that lake there's an island, which is Volcano Island. And in the middle of that island, there's another crater with another lake inside. In January 2020, Taal woke up in a spectacular way. The ashfall covered Manila, shutting down the capital and forcing hundreds of thousands of people to evacuate. The big risk with Taal is a phenomenon called a basal pyroclastic surge, a tsunami of superheated steam and ash. Taal is considered a decade volcano because of its potential to cause a humanitarian disaster. Even though it looks like a peaceful tourist spot, Taal is a geological ticking time bomb. And so we end our journey through the world's most dangerous volcanoes. From Vesuvius to Taal, we've seen how these fiery mountains have shaped our history and created incredible landscapes. It's amazing the power that exists beneath our feet, capable of changing the climate and reshaping continents. Humanity continues to live in the shadow of these giants, a mix of stubbornness and fascination. I hope you enjoyed this trip and learned about these geological wonders. Which volcano impressed you the most? Let us know in the comments. If you love science and cool facts, you're in the right place. Subscribe, hit the bell, give us a like, and share. Thanks and see you next time.